They don't want to face the loss or the consequences of the situation.
So it's
sometimes,
like a selfish thing.
And it could have to do with the money as well, or just the disruption, because, hey, breaking up, especially moving out, divorces are
cheating?
hard. It's not, but it feels that way because that's the noble virtue,
right, that they can hold on to.
Instead of calling it what it is fear.
I would say that some women think that men, when they leave, they have something else lined up as well too. So it can kind of go both ways for that, I think.
Because there are a lot of women in that book that she talks about where they were ready to leave and get a divorce. Mm-hmm. And then they read her book and then they started doing these things, respecting their husband,
right,
treating him differently. And then all of a sudden the good part of him came out and the relationship's amazing. A lot of times the women that feel like they have no choice but to leave, they've tried everything else. A lot of it is that they're just waiting to receive.
Well, you're not wrong, because men cheat because they think it won't make a woman upset because she won't know about it. So it goes behind her back.
Right.
Like, I can't divorce her even though I want to go be with this other woman because that'll make her upset. But then go and do something that makes her 10 times as upset when she finds out what they've done. So that's why I guess it's hard for women to comprehend, because it's like they are choosing a path that instead makes anybody would be way more upset to be cheated on than left. Like, yes, it's hard, but that's why it also still doesn't kind of make sense. They're like, they don't want to make women upset, and I believe you.
Right.
But then they make choices that would hurt anybody way more than someone being broken up with or divorced. Right. So why does that happen?
Well, I mean, women do that too.
I'm not saying they don't at all.
Because when women do cheat, because that does happen, then it's a similar type of... So why does anyone do that? And it's because they don't want to face the loss or the consequences of the situation.
So it's like a selfish thing.
And it could have to do with the money as well, or just the disruption, because, hey, breaking up, especially moving out, divorces are hard.
Very disruptive.
It
to everybody.
Only if you get caught, right?
Which
otherwise,
everything that's done in the dark eventually comes to light.
Believe me, I know. So, but...
And also living with that, how they can just live with that.
Well, and there's almost a sense of what I'm describing as men being afraid of women. A lot of men interpret that fear as loyalty, fierce loyalty. And they take pride in their fierce loyalty, right? That's
what I was talking about in the beginning, because it's like this warped, like, they view it as loyal,
right?
But if you're not happy, and then that in turn is draining the relationship from all ends.
Yeah.
How is that? Yeah, technically, I guess it's loyal.
Right.
But is it?
It's not, but it feels that way because that's the noble virtue,
right? That they can hold on to,
instead of calling it what it is fear, instead of really. I mean, like I said, we have a situation where a friend of ours was in a very long, over a year or something, relationship. There was no sex happening in that relationship, and it was
the opposite of what people would think it was.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't, but regardless, like, there wasn't enough connection for it. Like, he wasn't happy.
Right.
No one was happy.
But nobody could leave.
But why did he not leave? Right. And if you really think about it, it was because he was afraid. He was afraid of how she was going to react, that she was going to be upset.
She was afraid too, because she should have left because her needs weren't being met, and she was afraid.
Yeah. Oftentimes, I think women don't leave because they're afraid of they don't have something else, and oftentimes men don't leave because they are afraid of the woman being upset.
But see, I would say that some women think that men, when they leave, they have something else lined up as well too. So it can kind of go both ways for that, I think.
That's because that's enough momentum to get a man to finally
actually stand up for himself.
To leave at that point.
Well, stand up for himself. I mean, like, if he's not getting his needs met, and attempts have been made to try to fix it, that's what I think men should look at it as instead, is like, you're not getting your needs met.
Right.
you're unhappy.
Right.
You're in turn like not making her happy.
Yeah.
So stand up for yourself and leave, because that's what I think women do. Women stand up for themselves. They're like, I'm not being loved the way that I want to be loved, and that I'm giving love. And again, it goes back to, you know, men aren't searching for deep love to the same way that women are. They're searching for different things, but you know, a woman will stand up and be like, no, I want to be loved like this.
And but to give the other side of it too, a lot of women in those situations that do leave because they don't want to stay in the situation that a man is afraid to leave.
Right.
It's not like they're not doing anything wrong, because yes, they want to be loved, but a lot of times those women aren't doing anything to meet the man's needs either. That's where, like when we talked about the Surrendered Wife book, and that's why it's so good. In fact, we're going to talk about another book, The Empowered Wife, which is her sequel book, which is much better. It's presented in a better way. But the concept is still the same, is that because there are a lot of women in that book that she talks about where they were ready to leave and get a divorce. And then they read her book, and then they started doing these things, respecting their husband, treating him differently, and then all of a sudden the good part of him came out and the relationship's amazing. And so a lot of times the women that feel like they have no choice but to leave, they've tried everything else, a lot of it is that they're just waiting to receive. And again, I think a man should be understanding enough to actually be giving that part. He should be stepping up, but they're not actually understanding, just the same way we just described that the man can take the woman on vacation and forget to make her coffee and make himself coffee, and then not see why she would be upset about that little thing when she's in this amazing place, which again, that did not happen. I'm just using that as my brain.
Think I like yelled at you this morning, and I don't even yell at you. They're gonna be like, did she like
nothing like that happened at all. I just like I'm just saying, like, to use an extreme example so that people can relate to it, but that same thing, women don't understand that about men, and what makes a man feel loved or feel respected, you could say. And so they're messing that part up. The same blind side that the men have, women have that blind side as well. And that also leads to this problem.
Yeah. I mean, I am thinking about it from a perspective, like we were talking about earlier, with like a woman who is doing everything right. And talking from my perspective as a woman who tries to do the right thing the majority of the time. But I do acknowledge and understand that women also aren't doing the right things as well, too. And, it's that crazy cycle that we talked about in the love and respect thing, where, he feels disrespected or, not desired. And then he acts unloving to her, and then she acts disrespectful, and it just keeps going. So that is normally how it happens. You're right.
Yeah.
But, just like we talked about, a man can still mess it all up, go and cheat on a woman that is doing the right things, but he's less likely to. But yeah, I was looking at it through that perspective. But you're right. There are things that women need to work on as well, too. And you can't just be like, acting like you're all high and mighty when you have the things to work on, too. But at least they do leave more often before they cheat. I'm not saying that women don't cheat, but I'm just saying it is, in my eyes, a more respectful thing to do.
Sure.
To divorce.
I agree.
Before you go try to be with somebody else. And I think that's also potentially, I'm not saying it is for sure, why women have a hard time respecting men, is because they do things like that is disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, it is way more disrespectful to just cheat and try to hide it, and than it is to man up and have a hard conversation. I'm not saying it's not hard, and leave before you move on.
I think, though, that, again, I think it is, like you said, more so that men are more likely to do that. But there's definitely a significant number of women that they do leave, but they also cheat first.
Right.
And so,
but those are not typically healed, healthy women themselves.
No, it's not. No, yeah. So, but again,
it's never actually a woman that is healed.
If we were dealing with all
doing that.
healed, healthy people, we wouldn't have much to talk about.
True.
So
but I'm just saying, like we've said the whole time, like, that's why we talk a lot about men, though, is because a man can help a woman work through these things. She should hold herself accountable, of course, and work on herself as well, and not do these things. But you know, you do hear more often that men are doing those sort of things than women, but it's not like women don't do them. You're right. Like women do cheat. I'm not saying
better than perfect. We stand